Workers at Starbucks locations in Ithaca and across the nation are working to unionize, calling for better treatment, better access to company benefits, and higher wages. Correspondent Emily Hung sits down with employees, campaign organizers, and experts to learn more about the current unionization efforts on a national and local level.
Cornell received a bomb threat in early November, and I was actually working at the time. We had a girl come running and screaming into our store saying she saw an active shooter.
Evan Sunshine is a barista and a campaign organizer at the Ithaca Starbucks store on College Avenue. He's been helping lead the effort to get all 3 Starbucks locations in the city to form a union. On November 7, 2021, Cornell University evacuated multiple buildings for several hours, later citing reports of a bomb threat. One of those buildings was Cornell's law school, just down the street from the Starbucks Sunshine was working at.
Our manager told us after a while that she found out that there was no active shooter threat, just a bomb threat that we are supposed to reopen, that none of us felt safe working.
This and a number of other issues have recently surfaced from Starbucks employees working in Ithaca.
Hi, what can I get started for you?
Hi, I placed a mobile order for Rachel.
For Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go check on it.
Hope Lipa, a barista and campaign organizer at the drive-thru location on Meadow Street, says the store is severely understaffed, with only 1 to 4 workers manning the place at a time, serving up to 50 customers per half hour.
We've had conversations with some higher up corporate people, and they're like, yeah, 9 people would be ideal. So we're running at like half of the amount that we really should be.
On January 23rd, more than 75% of employees at each of the 3 stores signed union authorization cards, as required by the National Labor Relations Board, to be able to conduct an election to vote to unionize. They joined a national push that's spread to over 60 stores in at least 19 states that are working to unionize Starbucks employees. Signing cards is a first step.
The card basically just takes down your information, and it's like a commitment that on the ballot, when we vote to become a union, that they're going to vote yes.
2 days later, on January 25th, workers officially launched their campaign to unionize. Kathy Creighton is the director of Cornell University's Industrial and Labor Relations Office in Buffalo. She explains this recent nationwide movement of Starbucks employees working to unionize.
Starbucks has presented itself as a progressive company, and so people who apply to work there are progressive people. They want to be able to have a voice at work.
Employees in Ithaca are calling for better treatment, easier access to the benefits the company offers, such as health care, and higher wages. Lipa currently makes $15.97 an hour, plus customer tips, which usually amount to less than $1 an hour. She wants to push for a guaranteed tip rate.
And we want that to be $5 an hour. Basically, the customers will continue to tip, and Starbucks covers anything that the customers didn't tip that leads up to that $5 an hour tip rate.
Sunshine says there's been a high turnover rate at the store he works at. Multiple managers have left since October last year, and some of his co-workers are working 2 jobs, full-time at Starbucks, part-time elsewhere.
Starbucks calls us partners and gives that idea that we're part of the company and have our voice, but that's been shown repeatedly that that's not how it is currently, and we want our voices heard. We want to be able to afford the healthcare that Starbucks offers, and we want to be able to afford our rent, and with how it currently is, that's something that's not possible. And the union allows us to have protections against that and have our voices heard and have our demands met.
In a statement to ICTV, Starbucks says it respects workers' rights to organize and will bargain in good faith, but they believe in working with their partners without a union in between. On their website, Starbucks says they don't believe a union is effective in solving issues in the workplace.
It's not necessarily that we're against Starbucks, we're pro-Starbucks, but we're also pro-people first.
Stephanie Hawkins is a barista at the Starbucks on the Ithaca Commons. She heard about the unionization movement when she first applied for the job at the beginning of the year. As she started her new job, she began learning about the issues workers at other locations were facing.
I think unionizing is a great step for that, to prove that, just because we're workers doesn't mean that we aren't entitled to the same respect and work as the people that are higher up. And I don't think Starbucks is trying to make it hard for us, but I feel like things can go unchecked.
Sunshine says they're receiving support and guidance from Starbucks Workers United, a collective of Starbucks partners across the Buffalo region who first organized their workplaces a few months ago. But it hasn't been easy with pushback from the company, including visits from managers.
I'll call my coworkers aside to talk about how the union is bad. And some of them, if they know that they support the union, they'll be really kind of harsh to them, very rude, almost condescending. I've personally tried to be as nice and hospitable as possible to them, so they don't have any reason to, scrutinize my job performance to find a reason to write me up or fire me.
Organizers like Sunshine have been using different tactics to rally employees from all 3 Ithaca stores.
We all met together on Zoom a lot, once or twice a week, try to discuss and plan out how we were going to commence our campaign launching and our card signing, things like that, getting people together, trying to convince people that the union is the right thing to do for our stores.
Just 3 days after election ballots arrived on workers' doorsteps on March 16th, they held a Solidarity Day, passing out union stickers to customers, all in hopes that the 3 stores will each have a majority vote in the election to unionize. Voting is set to end in early April, where the votes will then be counted by the NLRB, and a decision made on whether each location has successfully formed a union.
I am very hopeful. I'm pretty expectant, I'm pretty hopeful to see that on April 8th, when we actually get our count, that we're going to have a 3 of 3 victory.
If the election is successful, the next step is for each location to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement. Creighton explains this step, however, could be a potentially lengthy and difficult process. The National Labor Relations Act is currently the only statute that covers all private sector employees. The act doesn't require employers to reach an agreement with a union for a contract, so more than half of people who do form a union have no agreement by the 1st or 2nd year.
It's going to be exceedingly difficult for employees to get a contract, and they're going to need the assistance of the community. There's going to need to be a campaign where it makes it painful for Starbucks not to reach an agreement with them. Starbucks will have to be forced to reach an agreement.
Creighton says the law is not supportive of employees, but the PRO Act could change that. The Protecting the Right to Organize Act, introduced in Congress last year, has passed the House, but in her words is languishing in the Senate. The last action on it was in March last year, when it was referred to a Senate committee.
That would provide for first contract arbitration if the parties couldn't reach a first contract. That would change the law in the U.S.
Lipa says she's expecting significant pushback from Starbucks on an agreement if they unionize, but is determined to fight, alongside other union organizers. Should the stores in Ithaca vote to form a union in this election process, they'll join the growing number of locations in other cities that have also recently unionized.
And a big thing for the communities to know is that we're not anti-Starbucks at all. We are Starbucks workers. We came to Starbucks for a reason and we love it. But we want to create a better Starbucks together and have our voices heard and create a better experience for us as the employees, but also better experiences for the customers.
For ICTV Reports, I'm Emily Hung.